In a small, quiet village surrounded by green fields and narrow dirt roads, a stray dog named Ramu roamed freely. Ramu was not like other dogs. His brown fur was slightly matted, but his eyes shone with intelligence and curiosity. He had no family, but he knew how to survive in the village. He scavenged for food near the market, slept in empty sheds, and moved quietly to avoid humans who might chase him away. One early morning, when the sun was just rising and casting a golden glow over the village, Ramu wandered near the edge of the forest. The air was fresh and birds chirped from the trees. Ramu's stomach growled. He had not eaten since the previous evening, but something unusual caught his attention. A faint sound reached his sensitive ears. It was not the usual rustle of leaves or the call of birds. It was soft and weak, like a tiny cry carried by the wind. Ramu's ears perked up. He tilted his head, trying to identify the sound. The cry came again, slightly louder this time. Carefully, Ramu followed the sound, his paws stepping quietly on the soft grass. He moved through bushes and over small stones, guided by the gentle cries. The path led him to a small clearing beneath an old tree. The sunlight streamed through the branches, creating patterns on the ground. There, hidden beneath the roots of the tree, was a small woven basket. Inside the basket, wrapped in a thin, worn-out blanket, lay a baby. The baby's eyes were closed, and its tiny hands moved slightly as it breathed. Ramu stopped a few steps away. His nose twitched, and he sniffed the air carefully. The smell of the baby, the blanket, and the damp earth mixed together. Ramu could feel something unusual. He could sense that the baby was alone and needed help. Ramu circled the basket, observing the baby. He let out a soft, gentle bark, almost as if asking, "Are you okay?" The baby stirred, making a small noise that sounded like a tiny sigh. Ramu nudged the basket lightly with his nose. The baby did not fall or move roughly, showing that it was safe. The dog's instincts told him to protect the child. He knew he could not leave the baby alone in the forest. Looking around, Ramu noticed that the path back to the village was not far. He carefully took the edge of the blanket in his mouth. The baby's tiny body was light but delicate. Ramu moved slowly, making sure the blanket held the baby snugly and safely. Every step he took was cautious. He did not want to drop the child or hurt it accidentally. The forest seemed quiet, almost as if it was watching him. As he walked, memories of his own life as a stray came to Ramu. He remembered cold nights without shelter, rainy days when he had nowhere to hide, and times when he had to find food in difficult ways. But now he felt a new responsibility. The baby depended on him. Ramu's heart felt strong, and he knew he could protect this tiny human just like he had protected himself for so long. The path to the village had its challenges. Small streams crossed the way, and Ramu had to carefully step over stones and grass to keep the baby dry. Sometimes a sudden gust of wind made the blanket shift. Ramu would pause and adjust it with his teeth. He kept moving, determined to reach safety. The cries of the baby grew softer as it seemed to feel the dog's warmth and careful steps. As Ramu neared the edge of the village, he heard faint human voices. Children were playing near the road and women were sweeping in front of their houses. Ramu stopped for a moment, uncertain. He had learned to avoid humans, as some would chase him away, but he realized this time was different. The baby's safety was more important than his fear. One of the children, a girl named Mina, noticed Ramu. She was carrying a small basket of flowers to her mother. Her eyes widened when she saw Ramu carrying the blanket carefully. "Ramu, wait! What do you have there?" she called out. Ramu stopped but did not drop the blanket. He looked at Mina with his deep brown eyes. He wanted her to understand that the baby needed help. Mina ran closer, her heart beating fast. She saw the small, delicate face of the baby peeking out from the blanket. "Oh my goodness, a baby!" she whispered. She knelt down carefully beside Ramu. The baby stirred again, opening its tiny eyes. Mina could feel the warmth of the baby's little hands. She realized that the dog had done something extraordinary. Ramu wagged his tail slightly but gently, showing that he meant no harm. Mina ran to get her mother, who was known in the village for her kindness. Together they approached Ramu slowly so as not to frighten him. "It's okay, Ramu," Mina's mother said softly. "You've done something very brave." The mother carefully took the baby from the blanket. She wrapped the child in a fresh, warm cloth and held it close. Ramu watched silently, his tail wagging a little faster. He had completed his mission. The baby was safe. The mother smiled at Ramu. "You have a good heart, little one. Thank you for protecting this child." Mina gently patted Ramu on the head. The dog lowered his body slightly, enjoying the touch but keeping a watchful eye on the baby. He knew his job was not completely over. He needed to make sure the baby was safe and comfortable. The mother and Mina led the way to their home, and Ramu followed, stepping carefully beside them. On the way, the villagers began to gather, drawn by the news of the baby and the brave dog. People whispered among themselves, amazed at the sight of Ramu carrying and protecting the baby. "I have never seen anything like this," said one villager. "That dog is a hero." Ramu did not understand the words, but he felt the warmth of their admiration. More importantly, he felt the safety of the baby. The child was now in the care of humans who could provide warmth, food, and love. Ramu had done what he set out to do. By the time they reached Mina's house, the sun was higher in the sky, spreading light across the village. The mother laid the baby gently in a small crib she had prepared. Mina watched as the baby blinked and looked around as if curious about the new world. Ramu sat nearby, watching closely. He made sure no one came too close to disturb the child. The mother offered Ramu some food, but he did not eat immediately. His eyes remained on the baby. Mina placed her hand on his back and whispered, "You saved him, Ramu. You are amazing." Ramu barked softly, a sound of quiet satisfaction. For the first time in his life, he felt that he belonged, not just as a stray dog, but as a protector, a friend, and a hero. That day, the villagers learned an important lesson. Sometimes the most unexpected heroes come in the smallest forms. A stray dog, often overlooked and ignored, had shown courage, kindness, and intelligence beyond many humans. Ramu had found a baby, kept it safe, and brought it to the village, forever changing the lives of everyone around him. As the evening approached, Ramu lay down near the crib, his head resting lightly on the floor. The baby, now calm and warm, had fallen asleep. Ramu's eyes watched over him like a silent guardian. He had no family of his own, but for the first time he felt a sense of purpose. He had found someone to care for, someone who needed him, and that made him feel alive. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying a gentle scent of flowers from the nearby garden. The village was quiet again, but this time it felt different. There was a sense of peace, hope, and wonder. All because a small, brave dog had followed a faint cry, trusted his instincts, and acted with a heart full of courage. Ramu closed his eyes briefly but remained alert. He knew that this was just the beginning of a new journey. The baby was safe, but the bond between them had just started. In the days to come, Ramu would protect, guide, and stay with the child, showing that love and loyalty can come from the most unexpected places. And so, under the golden light of the setting sun, the stray dog who had no family became a guardian, a friend and a hero in the quiet village, ready for the adventures that lay ahead. The morning sun painted the village with soft golden light as Ramu, the brave stray dog, sat near the crib where the baby now slept. The warmth of the sun touched his fur, and the soft breeze carried the smell of fresh flowers from the garden nearby. Ramu had never experienced such calm before. He had spent his life wandering alone, searching for food, avoiding trouble, and sleeping wherever he could. But now, he had someone to protect, someone who depended on him completely. Mina, the little girl who had first spotted Ramu carrying the baby, arrived early that morning, her basket of flowers swinging gently in her hand. She knelt beside the crib and whispered softly, "Good morning, little Ali. Did you sleep well?" The baby stirred slightly and opened his tiny eyes, looking around curiously. Mina smiled and reached out to touch his hand. Ramu, always alert, sat just a few steps away, watching carefully. His eyes followed every movement, making sure the baby was safe. Mina's mother came into the room carrying a tray of warm milk and soft bread. "We must take care of him until we know who his family is," she said kindly. She placed the tray on the small table nearby, but her eyes kept glancing at Ramu. "And we must not forget this brave dog. He saved the child," she added. Ramu wagged his tail, sensing the praise, but his focus never left the baby. As the day progressed, more villagers began to notice the unusual scene. A small crowd gathered outside the house, whispering to each other in amazement. They had seen stray dogs before, but none had ever behaved like Ramu. The dog had not only found a baby, but had carried it safely to the village. The villagers admired his courage, and some even brought food and water for him. Mina's friend, a boy named Omar, approached carefully. He had heard about the baby and wanted to see the hero dog. "Hello, Ramu," he said softly, holding out a piece of bread. Ramu sniffed the bread, then turned his eyes to Omar as if saying, "I am busy now." Omar laughed and sat down at a respectful distance. "You are amazing," he whispered to the dog. Ramu tilted his head but stayed near the crib, his tail moving slightly in quiet approval. The baby Ali began to cry lightly. Mina rushed to pick him up, but Ramu stood close, his body tense, as if telling everyone to move gently. The villagers obeyed without question. They had learned quickly that Ramu was not just any dog. He had a protective heart, and he expected respect for the child he had saved. Mina rocked Ali gently, humming a soft tune. Ramu sat beside them, keeping watch, his ears alert to any unusual sound. By afternoon, the mother of Mina had made a comfortable area for Ali near the window where sunlight could reach him. A soft blanket covered the floor, and a small pillow supported him. Ramu lay nearby, stretching his legs but remaining vigilant. He occasionally lifted his head to glance at anyone approaching. His loyalty was clear. He had chosen to protect this baby, and nothing would change that. The villagers were inspired by what they saw. A woman named Salma, known for her storytelling, gathered the children and said, "Look at Ramu. He shows us the meaning of kindness and courage. Even animals can have hearts as brave as humans. We should all learn from him." The children listened carefully, their eyes wide. They pointed at Ramu, whispering excitedly, "He is a hero. He saved the baby." Mina smiled at Ramu and said, "You are my best friend now, Ramu. You and Ali will grow up together, and I will help you both." Ramu wagged his tail, understanding her words in his own way. He could feel that Mina was kind and gentle, someone he could trust. Her presence made him feel more comfortable around humans. As evening approached, the sky turned soft orange and pink. Ramu followed Mina as she played with Ali in the garden. The baby laughed when Ramu nudged his tiny hands gently. It was as if the baby understood that the dog was a friend, not just a protector. Mina clapped and said, "See, Ali? Ramu is happy when you are happy. You two are best friends already." Ramu's instincts told him to remain alert, but he also felt a sense of calm he had never known. He could sense the love and care around Ali. Mina's mother brought water for Ramu and encouraged him to drink. Ramu lapped it up quickly but stayed close to the baby. He did not wander away. His responsibility had grown, and he embraced it fully. The bond between Ramu and Ali became stronger with every passing day. Ali would smile whenever he saw Ramu, and Ramu would respond with gentle nudges and soft barks. Mina noticed the way Ramu seemed to understand Ali's moods. If the baby was restless or crying, Ramu would sit closer, making sure no harm came near him. Sometimes Ramu even lay beside Ali's crib during naps, his body a protective shield. Villagers who came to visit were amazed. "It is incredible how this dog cares so much for the baby," said one man. "Animals are wonderful creatures. Ramu teaches us a lesson in kindness and love." Others nodded, agreeing silently. The story of Ramu's heroism began spreading beyond the village. People started talking about how even a stray dog could show courage and compassion. One evening, Mina's mother decided to give Ramu a small bath. Ramu was hesitant at first, but he trusted her. She washed his fur gently, and he shook off the water with a happy wag of his tail. Mina clapped her hands and laughed. "You are shining now, Ramu. Ali will love you even more." Ramu barked softly, as if agreeing with her. The baby, watching nearby, reached out to touch Ramu's fur. Ramu lowered his head, letting Ali feel his soft coat. As night fell, Mina's family prepared a comfortable place for Ramu to sleep near Ali. A soft mat was laid down, and Ramu curled up, keeping one eye on the baby. The village became quiet, and the stars shone brightly above. Ramu felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. He was no longer a lonely stray. He was part of a family, a protector, and a friend. Mina whispered as she watched Ramu sleep, "Thank you, Ramu. You are a hero. You saved Ali and gave him a chance to live." Ramu's ears twitched in response. He might not understand her words fully, but he understood the feelings behind them. He had done what he felt was right, and now he had the love and trust of humans who cared for him and Ali. In the following days, the villagers continued to bring small gifts for Ramu: food, soft blankets, and little toys. Ramu accepted them all quietly, but always returned to Ali's side. He had learned that his most important task was to watch over the baby. Mina often stayed nearby, helping Ramu and playing with Ali. Together, they formed a small circle of care and affection that grew stronger each day. By the end of the week, Ramu and Ali had created a routine. Every morning, Ramu would wake first and make sure Ali was safe. He would nuzzle the baby gently and make soft sounds to wake him if needed. Mina would help feed Ali while Ramu stayed close, guarding both of them. In the afternoons, they played in the garden, watched the birds, and enjoyed the warmth of the sun. Ramu had found joy in being needed, and Ali had found a gentle friend he could trust completely. The villagers marveled at the connection between the dog and the baby. "I have never seen such loyalty," said Selma. "This is a bond that teaches us about love, care, and responsibility. Ramu has shown us that true heroes can be found in the most unexpected places." Mina smiled, looking at Ramu and Ali playing together. She felt proud to be part of their lives and knew that the two would grow up side by side, learning from each other in ways humans could never imagine. As the sun set, painting the sky with orange and pink hues, Ramu lay down beside Ali, who had grown tired from playing. Mina whispered, "Good night, Ramu. Good night, Ali." The dog closed his eyes but remained alert, his ears twitching at the slightest sound. He had discovered a new life, a life full of love, responsibility, and friendship. Ramu had not only saved a baby, but he had also become a bridge between humans and animals, showing the villagers that courage, kindness, and loyalty could come in any form. The stray dog who once wandered alone had now found friends, family, and a purpose that would shape the rest of his days. The night was calm, the stars twinkled above, and the village rested peacefully. Inside the small house, Ramu and Ali slept close together, a silent promise of protection and love passing between them. Their journey had just begun, and the bond they shared would grow stronger with every sunrise, teaching everyone around them the power of trust, care, and unwavering friendship. Days passed, and the story of Ramu, the brave stray dog who had saved the baby Ali, spread quickly throughout the village. Villagers who had once ignored stray dogs now looked at Ramu with admiration and respect. He had become more than just an animal wandering the streets. He had become a hero, a symbol of courage and care that inspired everyone. Mina and her mother continued to take care of Ali, but they noticed that Ramu had changed as well. He was calmer, more confident, and seemed to understand his role in Ali's life. Every time Ali made a sound or stirred in his sleep, Ramu was alert. He would gently nuzzle Ali or lie close to him to make sure he felt safe. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day. One morning, Mina's mother suggested, "Why don't we gather the villagers and tell them about Ramu's bravery? It will show everyone how important it is to care for one another, no matter who they are." Mina agreed, and the two set out to spread the word. Villagers were soon invited to Mina's house, curious to see the dog who had done something so remarkable. As people arrived, they were amazed to see Ramu sitting quietly near Ali's crib, his eyes bright and attentive. Children ran to pet him, but Ramu remained calm, showing he understood he had a job to do. Adults whispered to each other, "Look at him. He is not just a dog. He is a protector." Mina stepped forward and told the story of how Ramu had found Ali near the riverbank and brought him safely to the village. She explained how the dog had carried the baby carefully in his mouth, and how he had stayed close to Ali ever since. The villagers listened intently, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others smiling with admiration. Mr. Arif, the village elder, stood up and said, "This dog has shown more courage than many of us. He has protected a life without expecting anything in return. We should all learn from Ramu. His actions remind us that kindness and loyalty are the most important qualities we can have." The villagers nodded, feeling inspired by his words. The children were especially fascinated. They wanted to be near Ramu and Ali, watching them play and interact. Mina guided them gently, showing them how to approach the dog carefully so he would not feel threatened. Ramu, sensing their excitement but also their respect, allowed the children to sit nearby. Sometimes he would nuzzle their hands, earning giggles and smiles. The villagers decided to come together and help in any way they could. Some brought blankets and soft clothes for Ali. Others brought food not only for the baby but also for Ramu, who had been living on scraps for so long. The generosity of the community warmed the hearts of Mina and her mother. They realized that Ramu had not only saved Ali, but he had also brought the village together. A woman named Salma, who often told stories to children, suggested, "We should create a small garden near this house where Ali can play safely, and Ramu can run freely. It will be a place where the child and his protector can grow together, and everyone can see the power of love and care." The villagers agreed enthusiastically, and work began the very next day. Ramu watched as villagers carried small plants, dug soil, and placed flowers in neat rows. Ali, in Mina's arms, watched with wide eyes, reaching out to touch the colorful flowers. Ramu ran beside them, sniffing the new scents and making sure no one got too close to Ali. The garden quickly became a symbol of hope, safety, and the unbreakable bond between the baby and his dog. Even the local shopkeeper, who had once chased Ramu away for scavenging near his store, brought food for both the dog and the baby. "I never thought a stray dog could teach us a lesson," he said. "Ramu has shown courage, intelligence, and heart. We should all appreciate him." The villagers smiled, realizing that small acts of kindness could create a ripple effect throughout the community. As the days went by, Ramu became more than a hero. He became a friend to everyone. Villagers who once feared stray dogs now approached Ramu with respect and care. Children played near him, always under Mina's watchful eye, and Ramu seemed to enjoy their company. He would sometimes chase a ball or run through the garden, his energy and joy inspiring laughter and smiles. Mina noticed how Ramu seemed to understand people's emotions. If someone was sad, he would approach quietly and nuzzle their hand. If someone laughed or played with Ali, Ramu's tail would wag energetically as if joining in the happiness. The villagers marveled at his intelligence and kindness, realizing that Ramu's actions were not just instinct. They were expressions of genuine care and loyalty. One afternoon, as the sun shone brightly, Ali started to crawl across the garden. Ramu followed closely, making sure the baby did not stumble or fall. The children clapped and laughed, cheering Ali on. Mina's mother said softly, "Look at them. They are learning from each other. Ali will grow up brave and kind because he has Ramu by his side." Ramu barked softly as if understanding the words. He was proud of his little friend Ali, and he wanted to be the best protector he could be. In the evenings, villagers often gathered near Mina's house to share stories and celebrate the little victories of the day. They spoke of Ramu's bravery, Ali's laughter, and the sense of community that had grown because of the dog's heroic act. Children listened carefully, inspired by the idea that even the smallest creatures could show great courage and heart. One evening, Salma organized a small storytelling session for the children. She began, "Once upon a time in a quiet village there was a stray dog named Ramu. He found a baby alone near the forest and carried him safely to the village. Ramu did not know who the baby's family was, but he protected him with all his heart." The children listened, eyes wide with wonder, and Ramu lay nearby, his ears twitching at the sound of his own story being told. As the night approached, Ramu curled up near Ali, just as he always did. Mina whispered softly, "Good night, Ramu. Thank you for everything you have done today." Ramu's eyes closed, but he remained alert, listening to every sound in the quiet village. He had found a place where he belonged, a home filled with love and care, and a role that gave his life purpose. The villagers had learned a powerful lesson. They had realized that courage and kindness were not limited to humans. Even a stray dog who had once been ignored and overlooked could teach them about love, responsibility, and loyalty. Ramu had not only saved a life but had also brought the entire village together, showing them the importance of caring for one another. That night, as stars twinkled above the village, the garden near Mina's house stood quietly, filled with the scent of flowers and the soft sounds of sleep. Ramu rested beside Ali, watching over him like a silent guardian. Mina and her mother prepared for the next day, knowing that their lives had changed forever. The bond between Ramu and Ali had created a ripple of love, courage, and friendship that would continue to grow. Ramu had proven that heroism comes in many forms. It does not always wear a uniform or carry a sword. Sometimes it has 4 legs, a wagging tail, and a heart full of courage. The village understood that love and care could unite everyone, human and animal alike, and that the smallest acts of bravery could inspire the largest changes. By the end of Part 3, the bond between Ramu, Ali, and the villagers had grown stronger. The garden had become a symbol of hope and safety. The children had learned important lessons about kindness, and the adults had realized the value of compassion. Ramu's journey as a hero was far from over, but he had already changed the lives of everyone around him, proving that courage and love are universal languages that can touch every heart. As days turned into weeks, the bond between Ramu, the brave stray dog, and baby Ali grew stronger. Ramu was no longer just a protector. He had become a true friend. Every morning he would wake before the sun rose, quietly stretching and sniffing the air to make sure Ali was safe. When Ali stirred in his crib, Ramu would nuzzle him gently, making soft, comforting sounds. Mina, who spent most of her days near the baby and Ramu, noticed how the two seemed to understand each other without words. If Ali cried, Ramu would immediately sit beside him, placing his head near the baby's tiny hands. Sometimes he would gently paw at Ali's blanket, making sure it stayed wrapped snugly around him. The baby, in response, would quiet down, a small smile forming on his face. It was as though they shared a secret language only they could understand. The villagers were amazed at what they saw. They had grown accustomed to seeing Ramu with Ali, but they still marveled at the dog's intelligence and care. Children would often stop by the garden to watch Ramu play with Ali. He would gently roll a small ball toward the baby, encouraging him to reach and crawl. Mina would clap her hands in delight while the other children laughed and joined in. Ramu, always patient, guided Ali carefully, never letting him fall or get hurt. One sunny afternoon, Mina decided to take Ali to the edge of the village near the small stream. She carried him carefully while Ramu trotted beside them. Ali giggled at the sound of the flowing water, reaching out toward it with curiosity. Ramu barked softly as if warning him to be careful. When Ali leaned too far forward, Ramu nudged him back gently, keeping him safe from slipping into the water. Mina laughed and said, "Ramu, you are the best protector in the world. Ali is lucky to have you." The villagers continued to bring food and small gifts for both Ali and Ramu. Some children made soft toys for the baby, while others brought treats for the dog. Ramu accepted the gifts quietly but remained focused on Ali. He seemed to understand that the baby's happiness was more important than his own. At night he would curl up beside Ali's crib, listening to his soft breathing and keeping watch as he slept. As Ali grew, he began to crawl and explore the garden. Ramu followed him closely, always alert. If Ali reached for a flower or stumbled over a small stone, Ramu would be there immediately, nudging him gently or using his body to shield him from any harm. The villagers often commented on the loyalty and intelligence of the dog. "He is not just a pet," one woman said. "He is part of the family and he has taught us what love and care really mean." Mina loved watching the two together. She noticed how Ali's eyes lit up whenever Ramu was near. The baby would giggle, wave his tiny hands, and sometimes even try to crawl after Ramu when he ran around the garden. Ramu, in turn, would wag his tail and guide Ali with gentle nudges, making sure he stayed on safe ground. Their friendship was a source of joy not only for them but for everyone who watched. One evening, Mina's mother prepared a small meal for Ramu and Ali. They sat in the garden, enjoying the cool breeze and the sound of crickets in the distance. Ali clapped his hands and babbled happily while Ramu sat beside him, keeping a watchful eye. Mina smiled and said, "You two are like a team. Nothing can stop you when you are together." Ramu barked softly as if agreeing, while Ali giggled and reached out to touch his fur. The villagers began to notice changes in their own lives because of Ramu and Ali. People started caring more for animals in the village, leaving food for stray dogs and cats. They also became more attentive to children, teaching them to be gentle and kind. The story of Ramu's bravery had inspired everyone, showing that courage and love could come from anyone, no matter their size or age. One afternoon, a group of children came to the garden to play. Ali was excited, waving his hands and trying to crawl faster. Ramu stayed close, guiding him carefully and making sure no one got too rough. The children laughed and clapped, enjoying the playful atmosphere. Mina watched them and said, "See, Ramu, you are teaching Ali and all the children about friendship and care. You are making the village a better place." As weeks passed, Ali began to recognize Ramu's presence even more clearly. When he saw the dog approaching, he would reach out with both hands, calling out in his baby voice. Ramu would wag his tail and gently nuzzle Ali, showing affection and loyalty. Mina noticed how Ali's confidence grew because of Ramu's protection. The baby was no longer afraid of exploring. He knew his friend was always nearby. Ramu's role became even more important when a sudden rainstorm arrived one afternoon. Dark clouds covered the sky and the wind blew strongly. Mina rushed to bring Ali inside, but Ramu stayed at the edge of the garden, making sure no stray objects fell near the baby. When Mina and Ali were safe indoors, Ramu shook off the rain and looked around, still alert. His instinct to protect had not changed. The villagers who saw this were deeply impressed by his courage and loyalty. During calm evenings, Ramu would lie beside Ali as Mina read stories to the baby. Ali would giggle at the sound of Mina's voice, and Ramu would occasionally lift his head to listen. Sometimes he would nuzzle the baby's hands or wag his tail gently. It was clear that Ramu had formed a unique bond, one that was filled with love, trust, and mutual understanding. Mina's mother often reflected on the changes Ramu had brought to their lives. "This dog has taught us more than we could ever imagine," she said softly. "He has shown us the importance of caring for one another and the true meaning of loyalty." Mina nodded, looking at Ramu and Ali playing in the garden. "Yes, Mother. Ramu is not just a protector. He is Ali's best friend and part of our family now." As Ali grew older, he started to walk and explore more confidently. Ramu followed him everywhere, guiding him and making sure he did not get hurt. Mina laughed as she watched Ali crawl toward Ramu, calling him by name. Ramu barked softly as if replying, and the baby would giggle and clap his hands. Their bond was now visible to everyone in the village, a symbol of friendship, trust, and love. The villagers often came to visit the garden, bringing small gifts or simply enjoying the sight of the baby and the dog together. They spoke to each other about the lessons they had learned from Ramu, about courage, care, and selflessness. The story of the stray dog who had saved a baby and continued to protect him inspired many. People realized that love and loyalty could exist in every creature, not just humans. At night, Ramu would always sleep near Ali's crib, listening to his soft breathing. Mina would often watch them and say quietly, "Ramu, you are the bravest and kindest dog in the world. Ali is lucky to have you, and so am I." Ramu's eyes would shine and he would gently wag his tail. Though he could not speak, his actions said everything. He was devoted, protective, and full of love. Through the weeks and months, Ramu and Ali's bond became unbreakable. They played together, explored together, and shared moments of laughter and joy. The village had come together around them, inspired by the dog's bravery and the baby's innocence. Ramu had found not only a purpose but a family, and Ali had found a friend he could trust without question. Even the villagers who were once skeptical about stray dogs began to appreciate them. They realized that kindness, bravery, and loyalty could come from the most unexpected places. Ramu had shown them that heroism does not always wear a uniform or carry a title. Sometimes it comes in the form of a stray dog with a heart bigger than the world. As the sun set one evening, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange, Ramu lay beside Ali in the garden. Mina whispered, "You two will always be together, Ramu. Nothing can separate you." Ramu lifted his head, giving a soft bark in reply. Ali reached out and touched his fur, and Ramu gently licked the baby's hand. In that moment, the bond between them felt stronger than ever. Ramu had discovered something extraordinary. He had found a friend, a family, and a purpose that made every day meaningful. Ali had grown up with the comfort and safety of knowing that Ramu was always there, ready to protect and care for him. Their special bond had transformed not only their lives but also the hearts of everyone around them. The village slept peacefully that night, the stars shining above. Ramu remained alert, his eyes half closed but watchful. He had become more than a stray dog. He was a guardian, a companion, and a hero. And as he lay beside Ali, he knew that their journey together was only beginning. A journey filled with love, trust, and the promise of many more adventures to come. Time moved gently in the small village, and with each passing day, the bond between Ramu, the brave stray dog, and baby Ali grew stronger. Ali had begun to walk steadily, his tiny feet moving across the garden with confidence. Ramu was always close, matching his pace and keeping him safe from any danger. The villagers often watched them with amazement, impressed by the dog's loyalty and care. Ali laughed whenever Ramu nudged him gently or licked his hands. His giggles filled the garden, echoing through the village and drawing smiles from everyone nearby. Mina would sit beside them, clapping her hands and encouraging Ali to crawl or walk toward Ramu. The baby's joy seemed endless, and Ramu's gentle nature made it possible for Ali to explore without fear. Mina's mother had grown very fond of Ramu. She often said, "This dog has taught all of us what true courage and love look like. He saved Ali, and now he continues to protect him every day." Ramu would wag his tail in response, as if understanding her words. Though he could not speak, his actions reflected the depth of his loyalty. He had become more than a hero. He had become family. The villagers continued to celebrate Ramu's bravery. Children brought small gifts like soft balls, colorful ribbons, and tiny toys for Ali. Some also brought treats for Ramu. They would often play together in the garden, with Ramu guiding Ali carefully and teaching him gentle lessons about friendship, sharing, and care. The village had never seen such harmony before. One bright morning, Mr. Arif, the village elder, called for a small gathering in the garden. "We have seen courage in many forms," he said, "but Ramu has shown us that true bravery comes from the heart. He has saved a life and brought us all together. Today, we honor him." The villagers cheered softly, and Mina carried Ali close to Ramu. Ramu sat quietly, his eyes shining, as Mr. Arif placed a small handmade medal around his neck. "You are our hero," Mr. Arif said. The villagers clapped and children ran to pat Ramu, while Ali reached out to touch the medal. Ramu wagged his tail and nuzzled the baby, showing that the honor meant little compared to the love he felt for his friend. As Ali grew older, he began to recognize Ramu not just as a protector, but as a friend. He would call the dog's name, crawl after him, and laugh whenever Ramu barked softly in response. The dog in turn would guide him carefully, making sure he did not fall or hurt himself. Their friendship was a source of joy for the entire village. Mina noticed that Ali learned many things from Ramu. Patience, gentleness, and loyalty were lessons the baby absorbed naturally. Ramu's presence taught Ali about love without conditions and the value of caring for someone else. The villagers often said, "This is the most beautiful friendship we have ever seen. A dog has taught a child the meaning of love." One afternoon, Mina and Ali were playing in the garden when a sudden gust of wind blew leaves and small branches around. Ali looked frightened, and Ramu immediately ran to him, nudging him gently and standing between the baby and the flying debris. Mina called out, "Ramu, thank you. You are always watching out for him." The dog barked softly, then lay down beside Ali, ensuring he felt safe. The villagers marveled at Ramu's intelligence and dedication. They often spoke of how unusual it was for a stray dog to act with such responsibility. "He is more than a dog," said Salma. "He is a teacher, a friend, and a hero all in one. He has changed our village and our hearts." Others nodded, realizing the truth in her words. Even the children who once feared stray dogs now understood their worth. They learned to treat animals with kindness and respect. Ramu had not only saved Ali, but had also inspired an entire village to act with compassion. Every day, people would stop to watch the pair in the garden, their hearts warmed by the simple beauty of friendship between a child and a dog. As Ali grew taller and stronger, he learned to walk, run, and explore under Ramu's watchful eyes. The garden became a place of adventure, laughter, and learning. Ali would reach out to Ramu, and Ramu would gently guide him away from danger. Mina often laughed at their playful interactions, saying, "You two are unstoppable. Nothing can come between you." Mina's mother often reflected on how Ramu had transformed their lives. "He came to us by chance, but he has become a blessing," she said quietly. "Not only did he save Ali, but he also brought love, joy, and hope to our family and village." Mina smiled, watching Ramu and Ali play under the bright sun. "Yes, mother. Ramu is more than a dog. He is a hero, a friend, and a part of our hearts." The villagers decided to celebrate Ali's first birthday in the garden. They decorated it with colorful flowers, ribbons, and small toys. Everyone gathered to honor both the baby and the dog who had changed their lives. Mina held Ali, who reached out for Ramu. The dog barked softly, wagging his tail as if joining the celebration. Children laughed, villagers clapped, and the garden was filled with joy and warmth. Mina said, "Ramu, you saved Ali, and now you make his world full of happiness. We are grateful to you every day." Ramu barked softly, then gently licked Ali's tiny hand. The baby giggled, and Mina's mother smiled. In that moment, everyone understood that heroism is not measured by medals or words, but by the love and care one gives selflessly. Even as time passed, Ramu remained vigilant. Nights were spent near Ali's crib, listening to his soft breathing. Days were spent guiding, playing, and protecting. He had found a purpose that filled his heart with joy, and he had become an irreplaceable part of Ali's life. Mina often whispered, "Thank you, Ramu, for being our hero, our friend, and our family." One evening, the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and gold. Ali sat in the garden, reaching out to Ramu, who lay beside him, his eyes half closed but alert. Mina's mother whispered to her daughter, "Look at them. This is the power of love and loyalty. A stray dog saved a baby, and now they have brought joy to all of us." Mina nodded, tears of happiness in her eyes. The villagers realized that Ramu's story was more than just an act of bravery. It was a lesson in kindness, courage, and the importance of caring for those who cannot protect themselves. They knew that love could come in many forms, sometimes from family, sometimes from friends, and sometimes from a stray dog with a brave heart. Years later, as Ali grew into a strong, happy child, he never forgot Ramu. The dog had been there from the very beginning, guiding him, protecting him, and teaching him lessons of loyalty, patience, and love. Ali would often sit beside Ramu, hugging him and speaking softly, knowing that his best friend and protector would always understand. Ramu's presence had transformed the village. Children learned compassion, adults learned appreciation, and everyone felt inspired by the small dog who had made such a big difference. Mina often said, "Ramu is proof that even the smallest creatures can change the world with love and courage." The villagers smiled, knowing that her words were true. As the sun set over the village one peaceful evening, Ramu lay beside Ali, their bond stronger than ever. Mina whispered softly, "You saved him, Ramu, and now you continue to protect him every day. You are our hero forever." Ramu lifted his head, gave a soft bark, and nudged Ali gently. The baby giggled, reaching out to touch the dog's fur. In the quiet of the night, the stars shone above the village, and the garden where Ali and Ramu played glowed under the moonlight. The stray dog who had once wandered alone had found a family, a home, and a purpose. He had saved a life, inspired a village, and shown that true heroism comes from the heart. Ramu's story became a legend in the village, told again and again to children who were growing up. They learned about the brave dog who saved a baby, the lessons of loyalty and care, and the beauty of friendship between humans and animals. Ramu had become more than a dog. He had become a symbol of hope, love, and courage. And so Ramu continued to live with Mina, her family, and Ali, loved and cared for by all. Every day was an adventure filled with laughter, protection, and joy. Ramu had found his purpose, Ali had found his friend, and the village had found a story that would warm hearts for generations. The hero dog who had once been a stray had forever left his paw prints on the hearts of everyone he met.